to the existing pipeline and bring that oil here to consumers. But they're saying, no, we want to go over here. We want more leases over here in ANWR. We don't even know if there's any oil onto ANWR. How about they deal with the known 10 billion barrels here and provide us some relief at the pump? Then we can talk about other places they might want to go in the future.
Yields back his time. For what purpose is the gentlewoman from Michigan rise?
Unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute, revise and extend.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, as we approach the 4th of July holiday, many Americans who would use this long weekend to vacation and perhaps spend time with their family will have to weigh their options as they struggle with gas prices that have risen over $4 a gallon. And as the worldwide demand for oil has contributed to the rise in prices that affect families all across America, we have actually restricted our supply at home. America, unfortunately, has become more dependent than ever on more expensive foreign sources of energy. And not advantaging ourselves of our own energy sources is economic suicide. That's why I'm co-sponsoring the No More Excuses Energy Act. It would lift the moratorium on exploring for oil in the outer continental shelf, open up the ANWR in Alaska for natural gas exploration and oil exploration, and also provide incentives to build more refineries right here at home. This legislation would provide incentives and tax credits to assist in researching and using alternative forms of energy like wind power and nuclear energy. This common sense approach to energy can help our nation meet the challenges that we face in the future and hold down the costs to consumers. It's time to get to work. I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise? Gentleman is recognized for 1 minute without objection.
Madam Chair, as members of the House, as American families struggle with the rising cost of energy, as it makes their commute to work even more expensive, as they think about buying home heating oil for this winter, think how it could have been. Think how their life would have been different. That for the last 7 years, instead of defending the subsidies for big oil companies, the tax breaks for big oil companies, and the royalty holidays for big oil companies, if the Bush administration and the Cheney administration had put their heads together and thought about the future as opposed to the past. But when you have two oil men together in the Oval Office in the White House, they think about the past, and that's protecting the oil companies, not about the future. Think if President Bush had come out for any increase in the mileage standard 7 years ago, where we would have been, instead of defending for 32 years the right of the automobile companies to keep us away from more efficient automobiles. But that would have been the future. But the Bush-Cheney administration has never thought about the future. They've only thought about the past, and that's turned out to be terribly, terribly costly to the American consumer.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania rise?
That's addressed House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know much of our concern is on energy and gas prices, but I want to remind members of some grim statistics on another issue. You know, if an airplane crashed today and 250 people died, we'd send the FAA and every other federal agency to investigate. If the same thing happened tomorrow, our concerns would escalate too, and if it happened the third day, we shut down the airline industry. We don't seem to do that same thing. We have that many deaths each day from infections in hospitals. In April 2005, when I first started talking about infections in hospitals, we've had since that time over 6 million cases, over 320,000 deaths, and wasted $162 billion. Just in 2008 alone, 969,000 cases, 47,000 deaths, and $24 billion. When I introduced my Healthy Hospitals Act, H.R. 1174, the aim was to have hospitals declare their infection rates so people can compare hospitals so we do something about it. Hospitals can clean up their act, they can reduce infections, and Congress needs to make sure there is a law of the land requiring them. People have a right to know if they're going to leave a hospital at all. I yield back.
Time has expired. For what purpose does the gentleman from Ohio rise?
I request permission to address the House and to revise and extend.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
In March of 2001, when the Bush administration began to have secret meetings with the oil company executives from Exxon, Shell, and BP, spreading maps of Iraq oil fields on the desk, the price of oil was $23.96 per barrel, and then there were 63 companies in 30 countries, U.S. not included, competing for oil contracts with Iraq. Today, the price of oil is $135.59 per barrel. The U.S. Army is occupying Iraq, and the first Iraq oil contracts will go without competitive bidding. Surprise.